Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I swear in every single video lately I've been like explaining why I haven't been uploading, so I'm going to skip the excuses for now because I'm going to do another video on the ridiculousness that has been going on in my life. But this video is going to be a continuation of my last video about attachment styles. If you haven't watched that video yet, I suggest going back to watch it because I break down the 4 different types of attachment styles. 1 which is healthy, 3 which are unhealthy. So you can go and watch that video so you can identify which one is yours, and then in my next few videos I'm going to be going in depth about each one. In this video I'm going to be talking about anxious preoccupied attachment style, and basically I'm going to give a deeper look into what is happening within this attachment style, like how you behave if you have it. So if you watch the other video and you're still not able to identify which style is yours, me going in depth about each one should give you some type of clarity. So basically it'll be signs and symptoms, what happens like in childhood that makes you develop this attachment style, and then how to fully change this. So I might split this into 2. Okay, so people with anxious preoccupied attachment styles, they are the people that you would commonly call, I guess, clingy or needy. When they are alone, they feel incomplete, like they feel like they need a relationship to fully complete them. And when they do get into a relationship, they heavily rely on their partner for, validation. Their self-esteem comes fully from their partner and what their partner thinks about them. And people with this attachment style, they tend to put their partners up on a pedestal, and they think very highly of the person that they're with, but at the same time they have very low self-esteem, so they think very low of themselves as well. And just from that description alone you can tell this is about to be a disaster when you don't feel good within, but then you're with someone who you almost feel like you're not worthy of being with. You'll see how this plays out as we continue. So people with anxious preoccupied attachment style, when they get into a relationship, they have this overwhelming fear of abandonment. It's like the minute that they actually connect with their partner, who they have already put up on a pedestal, they're thinking in their head, I'm going to lose this person. I got to make sure I don't lose this person. Even if they don't think it consciously, it's a subconscious programming that they're going to be abandoned. So people with this attachment style, they tend to be very overly observant of their partners. Like they're constantly looking for signs that something's off, that something's wrong. Like they're constantly looking for just any indication that their partner might leave them so that they can, make sure that doesn't happen, so they can stop it from happening. And a lot of the times their imagination actually is running wild in these situations. Like there are times where, okay, if you have this attachment style, right, there could be a time where your partner fell asleep and didn't text you because they fell asleep, and your mind just jumps straight to like they're either cheating on you, or they don't love you anymore, or like your mind just starts to topple over itself when you have this attachment style. So when people with this attachment style start to see that their partner might be pulling back, even if it is just in their imagination, basically start having an anxiety attack. Like their anxiety takes over their mind. So our bodies have something called a fight or flight response, where when we think that there's danger afoot, our stress hormones will start to build up and our bodies will feel very anxious, our adrenaline will start rushing, and basically that's what's happening when somebody with this attachment style observes that their partner might be pulling away from them. They go into panic mode. And literally the only way to calm down this anxiety or this panic is for their partner to step in and reassure them that everything is okay. Now, the problem with this is that a lot of people with this attachment style tend to attract emotionally unavailable partners. So an emotionally unavailable person is not going to reassure you or calm you down when you're in this anxious state. More than likely they're going to pull back from you even more, which will make somebody with this attachment style even more anxious. What will happen within a person's brain with this attachment style when they have anxiety is that they will start doing things called activating strategies. Now, activating strategies are basically defense mechanisms in the brain that create the illusion that you and your partner are closer. Okay, wait, no, let me explain that better. It's not an illusion. Okay, if you have this attachment style and for some reason you're worked up because you think your partner's about to abandon you, you're all, you know, riled up, your brain will automatically start thinking certain thoughts that make you feel like you're closer to your partner, to relieve that danger, to relieve that fear of abandonment. So an example of an activating strategy would be like just sitting around constantly thinking about your partner all day long. Like if your partner is away at work and you don't have anything to do, and for some reason your mind started to tumble and spiral about something that might have happened last week with them, and all of a sudden you're feeling like, oh God, I remember they did this shady thing last week. Maybe they're not that into me anymore. Like your mind starts to, you know, play tricks on you. So your brain will use this activating strategy of thinking about all the good times with them all day long. Like this could take up your entire day to make you feel like you're close to them, and then your anxiety will lessen. Even if it's a terrible relationship, if you're in this state of anxiety, one of your activating strategies will be to constantly, you know, tell yourself how great of a person your partner is in your mind. And it's just to lessen that fear of abandonment. Now, usually with these activating strategies, they'll calm you down enough, and then your partner will most likely step in or talk to you, hug you, kiss you, whatever, and they'll reassure you that everything's fine. But if you're dealing with an emotionally unavailable person who will not reassure you everything is fine, then these activating strategies turn into protest behaviors, okay? The difference between activating strategies and protest behaviors is that activating strategies, they are designed to make you feel close to your partner. Like they're designed for your brain to bridge that gap between you and your partner so the fear of abandonment can go away. But with protest behaviors, it's like you're trying to gain control over your partner at this point. You see what I'm saying? So you're anxious, you know, you're fearing abandonment, thinking about them all day long isn't helping, you know, reminiscing about your good times isn't helping. So now it's time to switch over to protest behavior where you can regain control. And the most common protest behaviors are like calling and texting your partner non-stop, back to back to back, to get a response out of them, because once you get the response, that equals reassurance. So then you're back in control of your feelings and of the situation. See what I'm saying? So calling back to back would be a protest strategy. Trying to make them jealous is a protest strategy. So if you're feeling a little distant from your partner, you're fearing that they're going to abandon you, you might put on a dress that's a little bit too short for them to say something to you, like where you think you're going with that on, because that's reassurance and validation to you, and that calms down your anxiety because they're validating you. You know they're not going to leave you. Making them jealous in any form actually is a protest behavior, like flirting with people on social media, just anything to get a jealous response out of them, because people with this attachment style just need that validation, and jealousy is like a sense of validation. And also threatening to leave when you have no intention of leaving is also a protest behavior. Oh God, I have been here. You just tell them like, well, I'm done with you. I'm so done with you. And in your mind, you're not really done with them. You want them to like stop you and be like, no, like, let's work this out. Like you want that validation. Now, a lot of times you're setting yourself up for failure with this one, okay? Because like I said before, if you are dating an emotionally unavailable partner, none of these games, these protest behaviors, whatever, most likely they won't work. Like, if you have an emotionally unavailable partner and you threaten to leave them, they're most likely not going to try to stop you. And then you're just going to be really, really heartbroken and pissed off and feeling even more abandoned and neglected. You see what I'm saying? So these protest behaviors only work when you're dealing with someone who is emotionally available and, you know, have a secure attachment style, which people with anxious, preoccupied attachment style rarely end up with people with secure attachment styles. So that's why this attachment style is so dysfunctional, because it's almost like you need this state of validation, but then you're also attracted to emotionally unavailable people who can't give it to you. It's like traumatic reenactment, okay? And it'll make much more sense once I dive into why you develop this attachment style, like what happens during childhood. So basically, in childhood with anxious, preoccupied attachment style, if you have this attachment style, your parents did not emotionally nurture you the correct way, so you don't have a secure attachment to your parents. Now, when I say incorrectly, I mean they nurtured you in an inconsistent manner, meaning that sometimes when you cried, they picked you up and gave you, nurtured you and gave you that attention. But other times when you cried, they might have been like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. Like, get this baby away from me. Like, very inconsistent to the point where you as a baby, you don't know if you're going to get your needs met or not. And remember that when you are a baby, you know, your survival depends on your parents. So your parents' validation and attention and affection is literally life or death for you as a baby. So, you know, when you don't securely connect to your parents and they inconsistently meet your needs, it's almost like you feel like you're dying. And you can connect this to your relationships in adulthood if you have this attachment style, because like I said, as someone who had this attachment style, it does feel like a life or death situation, doesn't it? Like when your partner is about to leave you, the average person thinks, okay, let them leave. Like, why get anxious about it? Why worry about it? You can't control a person. But when you have this attachment style, it's like your body gets overwhelmed with this anxiety where like you feel like if they walk away from you, you're genuinely gonna die. Like genuinely. And people who don't have this attachment style will not understand this, but like I said, I've had this attachment style, so I get it. And that is stemming directly from childhood. That's stemming directly from your parents giving you nurturing sometimes, to the point where you're just always anxious and on edge and always afraid that you're going to be left. And it causes a lot of stress. It's very taxing on your body to have those type of stress hormones running through you, you know? So there is a psychologist, or she might be a sociologist. I think she's a psychologist. Her name is Mary Ainsworth. I will link her down in the description box. But she did an experiment where, you know, she observed babies between the ages of 12 months and 18 months. And these were babies who have already developed anxious, preoccupied attachment styles. So she basically observed the babies and how they interact with their mothers. And what she found from her observations was that these babies, they avoided eye contact with their moms. They were just very confused and agitated when their mother like picked them up. And it's like, even though they were avoiding eye contact, they were still physically clinging on to their mother, even though they wouldn't look their mother in the eye. And they were just very anxious the entire time. You can see how that directly mirrors your adult relationships with this attachment style. Like, you cling on to that person for dear life, but it's almost like you never fully can connect with them because you're always so anxious that they're going to leave you. So you can just see how this carries over from these 12-month-old babies into adulthood in the way that we, you know, show up in our relationships. And what she also noticed in this study is that children with this anxious, preoccupied attachment styles, when their parents walked into the room, they could not focus on anything else but their parents. Like, they couldn't, like, the rest of the kids are still playing, and they, like, are just, like, fixated on their parental figure. And again, that mirrors what happens in adulthood with relationships. You know, people with this attachment style, it's called anxious preoccupied because their mind is always preoccupied. They can't focus on anything else except their relationship. They're so like hypersensitive and anxious about being left or like not being good enough that their mind is basically hijacked when they're in these relationships. And so you can see how with that study, the children couldn't focus on anything else but their parents. They wouldn't even play with, you know, their other peers. And in adulthood, it's like you neglect and abandon yourself. You abandon your responsibilities. You abandon your schoolwork. Like, everything, like your whole life revolves around your partner and validation from your partner. Which again is why this attachment style is so unhealthy, because, you know, good luck accomplishing any goals or anything you want to do in life when you're so wrapped up in your relationship, especially if you're with somebody who's emotionally unavailable, that's constantly triggering those abandonment issues in you. You're not going to be able to focus on anything else, like nothing at all. So people with this attachment style tend to have lower incomes than people with other attachment styles, only because they can't focus on their goals. Like, they can't focus on anything else. Which is why it's so important to, you know, be aware of these things so that you can change it and become the best version of yourself. So if you have this attachment style, now you know that it happened because your parents inconsistently nurtured you. And whoever's watching this who has this attachment style, I don't want you to be, I don't want you to be upset, I guess I could say. I mean, it is upsetting to hear something like this. you know, when you come to a realization that you are, like, you have a dysfunctional habit because of something your parent did. But you have to understand that parents who do this to their children, they also have this attachment style. They also have anxious, preoccupied attachment style. So they were never properly nurtured either. So they, you know, could not give you consistent nurturing and love because they didn't get it themselves. And parents with this attachment style, they're also fearful of having connections with people because they have that fear of abandonment too. So subconsciously, that programming is running even when it comes to their own baby. They might not even realize it, but they're afraid to attach to their own child, to their own baby. And that's why they are inconsistent, because they are afraid to attach. Sorry. So I just share that so that you can, just so that you cannot be, I'm not going to say don't judge. Yeah, don't judge your parents. I'm trying to think of the right word. Don't hold a grudge about it. Don't be angry about it. Don't be resentful about it. Come from a place of understanding, because they were just doing what they know how to do. See what I'm saying? They can't give you, your parents can't give you something that they themselves don't have. So if they never got secure love, they could not possibly give it to you. But for right now at least you know why these things occur when you're in a relationship, and the first step towards healing is self-awareness. So now hopefully you have become self-aware. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to split this into 2 videos. I can already see by the time. So the next part of this video will be how to change this attachment style so that you can attract a healthy love, you can be in a healthy relationship, and then when you have kids, you will not pass down this attachment style to your children. Okay? We're breaking generational curses here, people. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.